So for today's yoga class, we're going to be focusing on the sacral chakra. So the sacral chakra is one up from the base, and this chakra actually relates to our pleasure centers and our sexual organs and overall satisfaction. So this might be a good one for the springtime. To begin with, we're going to do a meditation. So I'll ask you all to lay down on your back. You can either lay down with your knees bent and your feet on the floor, or you can take your knees out wide into a butterfly position. Getting yourself nice and comfortable. Okay, just laying on your back and opening up your energy centers. Imagine a line from the base of your spine to the top of your spine and up through to the top of your crown of your head. And imagine that being a beautiful orange light. Noticing some sounds in the distance and then bringing your attention to the sounds inside the room. Taking some deep breaths. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Extending out through your exhalation. Bringing your left hand to your heart and bringing your right hand to your belly. I invite you to notice the rise and fall as you breathe in and you breathe out. So the sacral chakra today, any blockages manifest themselves in the reproductive organs, kidneys and the bowels. A blocked sacral chakra can also signify difficulties accepting new people or new experiences. So our meditation today and our asana will focus on the sacral chakra and opening out through the hips and through the lower body organs. Close your eyes and allow the earth to rise up and catch you. Feel yourself in the present moment and know that you are loved and supported. Visualize your mind in the stillness of the earth. A perfectly smooth line that you're laying on. Let that line become your horizon and your freedom. At this moment, you are free. Slowly, with your eyes closed, begin to visualize a large orange right below your navel. Sweet and sour. Imagine the delicious juice inside this orange. Imagine the orange filling up your mouth and let the orange grow and the details grow inside. Letting the orange fade away, becoming more and more blurry until you can not see the orange anymore. And instead watch as the bright color slowly dissipates into an ocean, turning the light waves orange and bright like the sun. Watch as this ocean gently spreads out through your body, feeling the waves run down your thighs, into your calves, and all the way to your toes. Watch as the gush of water rushes up your spine and fills every inch of skin, runs down your arms, your fingers, and up all the way to your head. Feel the sweet taste of water once more floods your body. The water flows warm. The waves have your back, and you are free like the ocean within you. You are free. The sacral chakra relates to the kidneys and the water flows in the body. As you're taking your last few breaths on the mat, gently rolling to one side and then coming into a seated position. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for your practicing yoga together, supporting yourself and each other. Let's begin our practice with an Om. We'll take a deep breath in and then breathe out all that doesn't serve us. Another deep breath in and bringing our hands to Anjali Mudra. Om. Setting the space for our yoga practice. Let's come to our knees. Hands and knees into tabletop position. And we'll begin warming our spine up with a couple of cat-cows. Taking a big deep breath in as you lift your chest and lift your gaze. And exhale as you lift your spine up towards the ceiling, gazing through your legs towards your feet. Continue on for a couple more of these. Just warming up your spine. Noticing the earth supporting you underneath your hands and your knees and the tops of your feet. Taking a couple more rounds. And then coming back to a comfortable seated position. You may like to put a block underneath your hips if you like, or just come to the ground. You can have your legs crossed or your legs in front. We're just going to move our bodies around in a circle, just opening up. Noticing the lower body on the ground, supported, and just feeling the waves getting centered in your yoga practice. And then placing your left hand on the mat and bringing your right hand over the top. Just coming from side to side. And then coming back to center, we're going to take our left hand behind us and our right hand onto our left knee. Just looking over your shoulder, coming into a twist. Taking a few deep breaths here. And then taking it to the other side. A couple more breaths here. And then bringing your hands back to center. Taking your legs out in front of you, about hip width apart or mat width apart. Inhale, lift up. And exhale, folding forward. And taking a couple of breaths here. I invite you to scan your body and thinking about where you're feeling this stretch. And then inhale, coming back up again. And we'll go back to all fours into our tabletop position. And we're going to lengthen out through alternate hand and leg. So as you inhale, lifting up through the left leg and the right hand, and elongating the hand and the foot, having the toes pointing down to the mat. And then exhale, bringing the hand and foot back to the mat, and inhale out again, keeping your body nice and steady. Just getting some movement through your hips and through your arms and shoulders. Using your core to keep yourself nice and stable. Let's go 2 more rounds on this side. And then bring the hand and knee back to the mat, and we'll take it to the other side. So this time left hand, right knee. Inhale, lifting and lengthening. And exhale, bringing the knee and the elbow back down. Really lengthening out through the foot and hand, squeezing through the buttocks. Gazing just beyond the mat, keeping your spine nice and long. And then bringing your hand and knee back to the mat. Taking our knees a little wider and coming into child's pose. Bringing your buttocks back to your heels. Lengthening out through your arms and bringing your forehead down to the mat. Embracing the stretch through the lower part of the body, through the hips area and the lower back and shoulders. Taking 3 long, deep breaths here. And 1 more breath. And then we're going to come into a high plank. So with the plank, you can come up onto your toes. So you've got your knees up off the mat. And we're going to stay here for 3 breaths. If this is a little strong, you can take your knees down to the mat. So just taking 3 deep breaths here. And then lower your body down to the mat with your hands underneath your shoulders. And we're going to inhale and lift our chest and lift our gaze, coming up into cobra pose. And we're going to stay here for 3 breaths. Feeling the stretch through the front of the body, squeezing the buttocks, lifting the chest. And then coming back to child's pose, we're going to do this sequence a couple more times. So bringing your buttocks back to heels, bringing your forehead down to the mat, really opening up through the lower part of your hips with your knees nice and wide. 1 more breath here. And then coming back into the high plank. And 1 more breath here. And slowly lowering your body down to the mat. The tops of your feet on the mat and your toes pointing back. Inhale, lifting up through the chest. Coming up into cobra pose. Feeling that stretch through the front of the body. Connecting with the earth underneath your hands. And then coming back, exhaling back into child's pose with your knees nice and wide into our last round. Surrendering into the stretch, bringing your forehead down to the mat. And 1 more breath here. And then rising up to high plank. for 3 breaths. Nice work. One more breath here, and then bending your elbows, slowly lowering your body down to the mat. Take your top of your feet onto the mat, and then inhale, lifting up through the chest, raising your gaze, squeezing through the buttocks for 3 breaths. And then coming back to child's pose for 3 breaths. And from here, we're going to go to downward dog, to a new sequence. So one more breath in child's pose, opening up through your fingers, bringing your hip up towards the ceiling, rolling your toes under, and coming into your first downward dog for today. I invite you to bring your heels down towards the mat as you stretch through the back of your legs. Taking another 2 breaths here. And then coming back down to child's pose. Two more breaths here. And then opening up the hands, lifting up the hips, tuck the toes under, and coming back up to downward dog. Walking your heels back to the mat. And 3rd breath here. And coming back down for our last round. 3 deep breaths in child's pose. And then inhale, come up into a downward dog for 3 breaths. Really stretching out, taking both heels down towards the mat. 2 more breaths here. And then coming up to a standing position. Just taking a few nice deep breaths. And we're going to do a sun's salute next. We're going to do 3 rounds today. So bringing your toes up towards the top of the mat. And we're going to inhale, lift our arms and lift our gaze. Reaching up to the ceiling, exhaling, folding forward. Inhale, lengthen our spine, and exhale, step back into your high plank, and then slowly lower your body down to the mat. Inhale, lift up, and exhale, rolling your toes under and coming up into your downward dog. Taking your gaze forward and stepping forward into your forward bend. Inhale, lift and lengthen through the spine. Exhale, draw your chest towards your legs. And then inhale, come all the way back up. Nice. Taking a couple of breaths here, just settling down your breath. We've got 2 more rounds to do. So getting your feet positioned at the right part of the mat towards the top. Inhale, lifting your arms, raising your gaze. Exhale, folding forward, bring your hands down to the mat. Inhale, lift your chest, lift your gaze, feel the stretch down the back of your legs. And then exhale, stepping back into high plank. And then slowly lowering your body to the mat. Inhale, pressing up through the hands. Coming up into an upward dog. And then rolling your feet, rolling your toes under into your downward dog. Really stretching out through the back of the legs and the shoulders. Take your gaze forward and step forward into a forward bend. Inhale, lengthen your spine. And exhale, hug your chest into your legs. Inhale, come all the way back up again. And back to Anjali Mudra. Just taking a couple of breaths here. We've got one more round to go. So just inhale, lift and lengthen. Take your gaze up towards the ceiling. Exhaling, folding forward. Inhale, lengthen your spine. And exhale, step back into your high plank. Slowly lowering your body down to the mat. Inhale, lift and lengthen into upward dog. And exhale, tucking your toes under, coming up to downward dog. And then take your gaze forward. Step forward. Inhale, lift your spine, lift your chest. Exhale, hug your chest into your body. Inhale, come all the way back up. And back to Anjali Mudra. Okay, then we're going to come back towards the back of our mat. And we're going to turn our left foot out slightly and step forward into warrior one. So the front heel should be around about in line with the back arch of your foot. Bring your hips and shoulders so they're facing forward. Inhale, lift your arms and lift your gaze and bring that right knee into a 90-degree bent position. And we're going to take 3 deep breaths here. I invite you to take note of where you're feeling this one. It's quite a strong pose through the right thigh and also quite a deep stretch through the left hip flexor. So we're working on that hip area. And from here, we're going to go into a twist. So we're going to take the left hand forward and right hand back, and we're going to look back towards our right hand and hold this for 3 breaths. And then twisting back to the front, and we're going to lengthen out through the right leg. I'm going to take this into warrior 3. So warrior 3 is a balancing pose. You might like to be faced up against a wall if you need something to lean on. We're going to open up through our right foot, and we're going to bring our left foot up off the mat and take our arms forward. I'm going to hold this for 3 breaths. And then gently bringing the left foot back down to the mat and then coming back. Give your legs a little shake. So down towards the back of the mat, we'll go to the other side. So turning your right foot out slightly, about 45 degrees, and step forward with your left foot. So again, the left heel should be in line with the right arch. And then moving your hips and your shoulders so they're both facing forward, so they're facing towards the top of your mat. We're going to inhale, lift our arms and lift our gaze and bring that right knee into a 90-degree bent position. Taking 3 breaths here. Embracing that stretch through the right hip flexor and the strength in the left thigh to hold this position. So we're working a lot on opening up through the lower parts of the body, helping us to tune into our sacral chakra. One more breath here. And then bring your arms back down and moving your feet a little closer towards the center of the mat, opening up through the left toes and having your chest facing forward. And just taking the weight onto the left foot, helping you with your balance. Taking the right foot back, bring your chest forward, lifting up the right foot and bringing your arms forward into Warrior Three. Finding your gaze point. We're here for 3 breaths. And then slowly bringing the right foot back down to the mat. Nice work. From here, we're going to face forward. So you be along the side of your mat. We're going to have one foot, the left foot facing towards the top of the mat, and the right foot slightly out to the side. We're going to inhale, lift and lengthen, and then we're going to take our body towards the left foot, and the right hand is going to follow across into triangle pose. So if you have a block here, you might like to use your block and place it just in front of your left foot. Bringing the left hand all the way up towards the ceiling, taking your gaze with it. This one's opening up through the hamstring on the left side and also opening up through the chest area. And then inhale, coming back up to standing. And we're going to rotate our feet. So bring our left foot in across the mat and the right foot pointing towards the top of the mat. And you can move your block across. So we're going to inhale, lift our arms up towards the ceiling, and we're going to exhale. We're going to bring our right hand down towards our right foot or our block, and our left hand is up in the air, pointing towards the ceiling. Taking your gaze to your left hand and opening up through the front of the chest. Stay here for 2 more breaths. This one's giving us a deep stretch through the hamstring on the right side and also opening up through the chest. And then exhale, bringing your hands back down to the ground and then coming up. We're going to go into a wide-legged forward bend next. So we're going to have our feet along the mat. So have one foot at the top, one foot towards the bottom. And we're going to inhale, we're going to lift our arms, bring them all the way up towards the ceiling, and we're going to exhale and fold our body forward. Bring our hands down to the mat. You can walk your feet a little further down, so you're really feeling a nice stretch through the inner thighs, also through the hamstrings, relaxing your upper body, dropping your head down. And let's stay here for 3 breaths, feeling a nice stretch through the lower back and through the hamstrings. Let your head fall forward. Let your chest and your head feel heavy. One more breath here. Then inhale, raise your chest. Bring your feet a little closer in and coming up. From here, we're going to go into a wide-legged squat. It's called the goddess pose. So we're going to have our chest up nice and tall, and we're going to bring our base down a little lower and bring our hands to Anjali Mudra. So this is not as low as the yogi squat that we've done before, but this is really opening up through that lower part of the body and the hips particularly. Taking 3 deep breaths here. Holding it nice and strong. Needs quite a bit of strength through the quads to hold this one. And then gently come up to standing position and give your legs a little shake. And from here, we're going to go down sitting on our mat with wide legs. So lifting your cheeks off the mat and having your spine nice and tall. We're going to inhale, lift up our arms, and exhale, fold forward. Come down nice and low. You might be able to bring your elbows down towards the mat. Your forehead is pointed towards the mat. I invite you to scan your body to see where you're feeling this one. It's a deep stretch down the back of the hamstrings, also lower back. And taking 2 more breaths here. And then inhale, bring your chest up. Bring your feet together into a seated butterfly pose. Lifting your chest up nice and tall. Bring your hands down towards your feet. And gently taking your body forward and using your elbows to push a little bit against the inside of where your calves are. Noticing a big, deep stretch through the inner thighs. Also stretching through the lower back area. And 2 more breaths here. And then release your hands, let your feet go out in front of you. Give them a nice little shake. And we'll go onto our back into a bridge pose. So we've been doing quite a lot of forward bends. So the bridge allows us to bend our spine back the other way. So it's a nice recovery pose. Taking our feet and our heels as close to our buttocks as we can. Hands are flat on the mat. Draw the feet in. Inhale, lift up through the hips. And bring the hands over the top to the floor in front of you, where your crown of your head is. Bring your hips up nice and tall, squeezing through the buttocks. And 1 more breath here. And then gently lowering your spine down to the mat like you're lowering down a bike chain. And bring your hands back over the top and back beside you with your palms facing down. We're going to do that 2 more times. So draw your heels back in towards your buttocks again. Inhale, lifting up through the hips. And bring your hands over the top. Squeezing through the buttocks, taking your hips up as high as you can towards the ceiling. Feeling a stretch through the front of the body. Compression through the lower back. 2 more breaths here. And then gently lowering the spine down like a bike chain and bring your hands back over beside you with your palms facing down. And 1 more. Inhale, lift up through the hips. Bring your hands and arms over the top of your head, placing them down on the ground above your head. Squeezing through your buttocks. 2 more breaths. And then gently bring your spine back down to the ground, hands over the top. Hug your knees to your chest and do some nice little rolls around in a circle or side to side. Releasing through the lower back area. Placing your feet back down on the ground on the outside of your mat. So your feet are mat width apart. And your hands can be straight out from where your shoulders are, keeping your back nice and flat on the mat. We're going to do a windscreen wiper to open up and twist a little through the hips. So we're going to take both knees to the right as you exhale. And then inhale, bring both knees back to center. And exhale, take them both down to the left side. Feeling that deep stretch through the right hip flexor on the right side. Inhale back to center. And we're going to take both knees to the right this time, looking to the left. We're going to stay here for 3 breaths. And as we do, really stretching through that left leg and left hip flexor, bringing the left knee down towards the mat. Inhale back to center, and exhale, take both knees to the left, gazing towards the right, and staying here for 3 breaths. Really stretching through that left, the right hip flexor this time. Bring the right knee down a little closer to the mat for 3 breaths. Inhale, come back to center. And then we're going to reach through our hands, bring our knees up in the air and reach through with our hands to grab the outside of our feet. Bring your chest back down onto the mat, feet up in the air into happy baby pose. So this is a nice one to stretch out through the hips and the legs and the lower back. Just taking 3 deep breaths here. If you can't quite reach the outside of your feet, you might be holding on to your ankles or your shins. And you might want to roll around a little bit backwards and forwards or in a circle. 1 more breath here. And then release your feet back down to the mat. Just taking a couple of breaths here. Relaxing, noticing the ground supporting you in your yoga practice. This time we're going to do an upside down pigeon pose. So keeping the right foot on the mat and lifting up the left foot and bringing the left leg across the front of the right thigh. And then reaching forward through to the leg, the right leg, or if you can to the right shins, and hugging that down. That's it. Or you can just hold both legs, both knees towards the chest. This one here is a good one to release any tension you might have in the lower back area and also down through the muscle that runs from your hip to your knee, which is your ITB. Taking 2 more breaths here. And then release your hands, but drop the right foot down to the mat, keeping the left leg crossed. Take the left hand out to the side from your shoulder and take your right hand and draw that left knee across to the right side, looking towards the left side. Coming into a nice deep stretch through the buttock area on the left side and through the lower back. Taking 3 breaths here. And on each exhale, just allow yourself to relax a little more into the stretch. Having your shoulders on the ground, feeling a deep stretch through the pec area, through the front of the chest. Inhale, bring both knees back to center and release the left leg down to the mat. This time bringing the right leg across the front of the left and then reaching through the cross leg through to your thigh, or if you can reach through a little further towards the shin on the left side. Just relaxing back, dropping your chest back onto the mat, dropping the back of your head to the mat. Taking 3 deep breaths here, stretching through the glute on the right side and the ITB on the right side, releasing any tension you might have on the right side. And 1 more stretch, 1 more breath. And then releasing your hands, bringing the left foot down to the mat, taking the right hand straight out from your shoulders left hand to the right knee and draw the right knee across to the left side as you gaze to the right. Coming into a deep stretch now. Feel that right down the right side of the body. On each exhalation, allow yourself to surrender a little more into the stretch. And then inhale, bring your knees back to center and hug both knees to your chest, allowing your body to roll around in a little circle or rocking backwards and forwards. And from here, you can relax back into Savasana. So you might like to have a bolster or a block underneath your knees if you want to support your lower back, or you can bend your knees if you like. Laying nice and flat on the floor, comfortable position with your palm of your hands facing up. You're going to have a nice silent relax into Savasana for the next 5 minutes. Coming back to the why of our practice today, working into our base, into our sacral chakra, unblocking any energy that we may have around the reproductive organs, the kidneys and the bowels, and noticing the energy and noticing how your body feels through the hips and lower back, through the legs, which we've done quite a lot of stretching through our asana today. So I invite you to enjoy the energy from the yoga practice and relax into your savasana in silence for the next 5 minutes. As you're coming to the end of your Savasana today, visualize an orange light just flowing over your body, balancing out the sacral chakra, balancing your energy channels, deep healing and unblocking any energy in that area. Taking a couple of deep breaths as you roll onto one side and coming into a comfortable seated position. Bring your hands into Anjali Mudra. We're going to take a deep breath in and breathe out all that we don't need anymore. One more deep breath in and closing off with an Om. And bring our hands to our forehead for kind thoughts and to our lips for kind words and to our heart for a kind heart. Thank you for joining us today, working on your own vibrations and your own healing energy, and here supporting each other. Namaste. How's everybody feeling?
Good, thank you. I was